been a long time since I've watched those movies.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions because people are staying and I think they have some as well. So my first question to you is, please tell us how you were drawn to this kind of work.
The natural world. I've always been drawn to the natural world. I kind of have a bigger fear of people than I do of animals. So I've always really did want to work with animals. And I was lucky enough to get an internship at National Geographic. And then kind of spend my 20s at National Geographic learning. It was a very, very lucky experience. Just, I was a sponge from all these, I kind of caught this golden age, at the end of the golden age of filmmaking and of National Geographic, before channels and 24-hour media and everything. So I kind of got a taste of the end of that world, but because I was new and I knew video, I sort of rode that transition in with respect for all the gods and the leaders who had been doing it for so long. So it was luck. I got very, very lucky.
Do you consider yourself a fearless person?
Again, it depends what we're talking about. People ask me all the time, like, what's the scariest animal? I do a lot of shark stuff. I do a lot of large, charismatic megafauna carnivores and stuff. And people always ask me, what's the scariest animal? And I say it's hands down either humans or that little catfish in the Amazon that swims in your wiener when you pee in the Amazon. But like sharks and big charismatic megafauna, it's not scary to me at all. So that was kind of how I did make my way up as a cameraman, kind of willing to dive out of the cage of the great white, whereas a lot of people wouldn't. So, you know, there were a lot of people willing to go out and film, but I was willing to kind of be one step stupider.
Okay. The humility is overwhelming, Andy. I mean, that plus luck. One more question, then I'm going to go to the audience, which is, in each of the 2 episodes that we saw, can you place yourself, tell us where you were with either your camera, whether you're underwater, whether you are, close at hand in the desert. There's astonishing shots.
Yeah, no, I was there for most of that. I mean, we always have a great team, and I came up as a cameraman, but then started being more of a director and producer and writer, but always still shot. And I gotta say, the best role in the world is second camera, because you hire someone better than you, you go out, you're experiencing it all, but they're the ones who really have to get it. If you screw it up, it's not that big of a deal. So it was, yeah, I mean, coming up as a cameraman, it was great because I understood how it needed. No one, the editors and the cameraman, no one understands how to make a movie better than those 2 roles. Obviously, the producer and the director and the writer, they're all important. But the cameraman's the one who's getting the picture. Without the picture, there is no show. And the editor is the one to make it all work. So by playing every single role along the way, I made a decision early that I wasn't going to get pigeonholed as just a cameraman. I wasn't going to pigeonholed as just an underwater cameraman. So I tried to do everything.
It seems to have worked out.
It worked out. Yes, it was fun.
I'm going to surrender my mic. Can you come down for a second? Yes. One of our volunteers. Yeah, come on down. I want you to be like the audience mic person.
Okay, yeah.
All right. I got it. Who has questions for Andy? I figured. Go ahead.
In addition to being a cameraman, like for example, growing up and watching National Geographic films as a kid, one of the most incredible things to see was the bats with the bugs, and then that story about that moth. Yeah. So not only is there a first cameraman and a second cameraman, there must be some technology or some scientists behind it.
And scientists. Okay. We couldn't do any of this. You hit the nail on the head without scientists.
So
literally our first role and our first thing we do in any of this is call the scientists. We read all the science papers that are out there and we call the top scientists on that issue or on that deal. Yeah, and he had just, I forget his name because this was 10 years ago, but they had just published a paper in Science. So literally we just scour the scientific journals to try to find that. And I'm not gonna reveal how sausage and made is on some of this stuff, but that took weeks to get those 4 shots that we got. And ultrasonic gear and literally cameras that shoot in the dark. And so it's quite an ordeal. So it takes It takes the scientist, number one. And then it takes, for that one, like I said, we hired a guy from the BBC who's done tons of this, and there's probably 2 people on the planet that know how to get that shot. So we hired Rod Clark, and Rod Clark knows how to get that shot. So it's not me, it's a huge team of people. We know what we don't know, so we hire the people that know how to do it.
Who else? Let's do this question down here, and then we'll go to that. Make sure you keep your arm ready. Thank you.
What do elephant seals eat if not Humboldt penguins?
I think mostly fish. Yeah. And they've probably eaten one, and I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry.
Hi, Andy. For the other shots, for say the orca pods, how long did you stay with one of the pods to give us that incredible footage? How long did that take to capture?
It's funny because it usually happens in an afternoon, but you have to be there for a month to get that afternoon. In New Zealand, we tapped into, again, the top New Zealand orca scientist, and she has a hotline. So literally, whenever she's put the word out to everyone on the coast, so when everyone sees an orca pod, because they circle, it's regular, you see them every couple weeks, they call this hotline. And it's like citizen science. People love to be involved with the science and with the filmmaking. So we would be literally sitting there for days, just waiting, shooting pretty time lapses and stuff, and then we'd get the call, and the A-team, we'd throw all our crap and go as fast as we can. And most of that scene with the orcas cooperatively hunting, and then they're getting caught in the line, and Brian Scary getting fed that was really cool. Like when this orca was kind of giving, I hope it translates, but it was like our heads were exploding. Like, wow, she's literally giving this poor, too skinny, orca this skate. So it doesn't take long, but it takes long,
Who else? Middle of the top row. Go ahead. Oh.
You first, and then we'll do you.
Starts right away.
Hi, thanks. Following up on that question, I was fascinated in the orca story, Sigourney Weaver's narration of their family dynamics and their altruistic and compassionate values. Is that written before you get the shot, or you film it and then someone goes and goes, oh, that's what's going on there. Those are the family dynamics happening.
That's a really good question. A little bit of both. So we do spend months researching, talking to scientists, and we write a shooting script, which on most films, most films of this festival, shooting script pretty much ends up looking like what the end of the movie is. Ours is nothing like it. So we write enough to make the execs and the bean counters at National Geographic say like, okay, that'd be great. And then we go out and shoot something completely different and just hope it's the same, right? So we go in with a full script and a shot list of everything we want, and then we throw it all out the window and we make the best of, we use all the available assets to get the best possible outcome with with what we got. So it's a little bit of both.
Question here. Yep.
What's the most advanced technological development that you've experienced during your career?
Interesting. AI. It's been a steady, from a camera point of view, the first thing that jumped into my mind, I came in, as I said, when it came with film. And so Super 16 or 35, and then mini DV, and then DV cam. So it's been this crazy, all that stuff. We filmed that, the Untamed Americas at 2K, which, a lot of people can't really tell the difference. It looks okay, but now I'm used to 4K and 8K, it kind of drives me nuts, and I know that's a little inside baseball, probably doesn't drive anyone else's nuts, but I see it looks soft to me because it's only 2K, where, nowadays we're shooting 6, 8. But there's been a lot of advancement in low light. It basically, everyone's pushing the boundaries on gear. So shooting faster, shooting in darker conditions, shooting in, lighter conditions, shooting. So I can't think of one specific technological advancement. But the industry's changing so fast. We were working on Avids, and it would take days just to make a few cuts and edit a scene. Now, anyone can do it on their laptop in an hour. So it's kind of been this exponential rise in technology, which is great on a lot of levels, and everybody can do it, but it makes our job even harder to kind of to do it a little bit better.
Yes. Come to, I think you may, we've got two in this row, so go ahead and pass that mic down.
Yeah, and then pass
If
it.
you go for it.
Did the orca that was freed up show any signs of appreciation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you could quite tell, but when it was released, it actually sat there for another 20 or 30 seconds and kind of, I mean, I'm anthropomorphizing here, but it was looking right at, like it could have buggered off really quick. And then, the shot sort of shows it, but the whole family kind of came around and sort of went like, thanks, dude, and then they all took off. So I 100% think that he understood, and do think he kind of like winked and said, thanks.
Go ahead.
Just curious, there were a lot of scenes where you're looking down on the orcas.
Yeah.
Is that using drone photography, and has that advanced things a lot?
Yeah, speaking to the other question, you're right. Drone technology in the last 6 or 7 years has changed everything. You used to have to hire 2 people out of Germany that brought in some $38,000 drone, and you'd pay him way too much. And now we just throw our little Mavic, DJI up, and it's even better. So yeah, that was actually one of my top roles on that movie, because I can't hold my breath for 5 minutes like some of those underwater cameramen. So I knew my limitations. We had some of the best underwater people on the planet. They can literally go down there and just hold their breath for 5 minutes. It makes me so jealous. So I'm like, no, you do that. I'll just fly the drone.
Thank you. Can you bring this down to the front row?
Sir, usually I see things outdoors. This was the greatest indoor performance I've seen in my visits to Vermont. And I've never seen I'm from Washington, D.C. I didn't think I'd ever see anything more odd, but I have in this film. Were there any times when you were in true apprehension of your own life and danger to yourself?
On this project, just once. But part of the stupidity of my 20s and 30s, and it also helped me get ahead, was I really did think I was invincible. So I thought that nothing could kill me, I would do anything and I'd be just fine, as the ignorance of youth. I did on this project lose half a pinky, but within an 18-month period around this project, around actually the desert project, I was lost at sea for an hour at night. I was in a plane crash in Congo, and I lost half my pinky. So in that 18-month period, I went from invincible to completely vincible. And yeah, so now I have a very different perspective on that kind of thing. But again, I'm less scared of animals than I am of people, because they're not out to get you. I mean, even great white sharks, when you're looking them in the face, they're not out to get you. There's an interaction with them. I'm not scared of them. I actually just really love it. I'm never more alive than when you're eye to eye with something like that you shouldn't be, It makes you feel kind of wild.
Let's take one last question in the front, right?
Yeah, so you mentioned the bean counters.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came to mind as I was watching this is it's slow media in a world of fast media. And I'm just curious how the bean counters, how the team is really looking at engaging younger audiences with content like this. Because of course, first thing I thought was every young audience should see this.
How long do we have? That's the big question. It's weird, our industry right now, the natural history world, is in a bit of there's a recent article out, someone calling it the red wedding of natural history programming. There's such a glut for the last 5 or 6 years that it's just saturated. And David Attenborough, the BBC, everyone who worked on Planet Earth now started their own production company, and they all got a $6 million deal from Netflix or Geographic or someone. So there's just so much being done right now. What we're trying to do, and I've been working with this company out of DC called Red Rock Films, is we're trying to change the genre. So we're trying to use the skills and what we've learned, and these are both very traditional movies, but our push now is exactly that, to change the genre, to try to engage young people. Because ultimately, we all got in this to try to save the world and help the cause. Realizing no one wants to be preached to, so then you try to just tell engaging stories. But that's the big question right now. And I do think that the trick is engaging stories, making people care about. And if that means anthropomorphization, I mean, there for a long time, David Attenborough, and there was a whole conversation about we don't want to anthropomorphize the animals because it's bad for them, because they're not people. We need to treat them like animals. I'm a little bit of the school that if you treat it like a mom and a son and you make people engage and put them in a spot where they understand, oh yeah, that's mom and that's your son, he's learning from them, they care more. So I think the benefits of that are better than the negatives. So, but that's the trick. I mean, we've done it a few different times where we do comedic shows. We did a thing, Penguin Town on Netflix, which is much more, comical. And Patton Oswalt was the narrator. And so we're doing anything to try to engage generation, but that's like, if we can figure it out, that's the key to this whole future, I think.
Okay, Andy, your most recent work is Inside the Mind of a Dog? Or, yeah, so it's on Netflix.
It is.
You can see it now on Netflix. Andy recently tried to break the Guinness Book of World Records by having
10 dogs short.
He came up, 11 dogs short?
10 dogs.
10 dogs short of the largest number of
It's
dogs
still a little sore.
to view a screening of a film. Is
That's
that
all right. 210 dogs is cool. We could have had 220.
There was-
It would have been a lot cooler about it.
That was a bark fest. There was no doubt about that. If you want to see Andy again, he will be appearing on Saturday at 11:30, Saturday 11:30 at Town Hall Theater, to screen a film that he made as a mid-grad early after he graduated, starting with a bunch of other mid-grads, it's called Sierra Leone's Refugee All-Stars. We're just going to tease it by saying that these are crazy young filmmakers who went to Sierra Leone and made a film that is memorable. So we'll do a Q&A with Andy at Town Hall Theater on Saturday after the 11:30 screening. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Hi. So at 4 o'clock, which is